It was a tense moment in Cold War history. Over the Sea of Japan, a Soviet jet had mistakenly shot down a civilian airliner only 3 weeks earlier, killing all 269 people on board, among them a U.S. congressman and 61 other Americans. 6 months before that, President Ronald Reagan had announced plans for a European missile defense system, which the Kremlin saw as a major threat to its nuclear arsenal. Yuri Andropov, the KGB chief who had become the leader of the Soviet Union the year before, was known for his paranoia about an American preemptive strike taking out his missile silos. So both sides were on high alert. The clock was ticking. Petrov knew he had only minutes to make a decision that could change the course of history. He stared at the red screen in front of him, showing 5 missiles heading towards the Soviet Union from the United States. His heart was pounding in his chest. His palms were sweaty. His mouth was dry. He felt a surge of adrenaline and fear. He looked around the bunker, where his colleagues were watching him with anxious eyes. They were waiting for his confirmation, his order, his signal. They trusted him. He was the senior officer on duty, the one who had designed and installed the ecosystem, the one who knew it better than anyone. He was the one who had to decide whether to launch a counterattack or not. He reached for the phone, ready to call his superiors and report the attack. But something stopped him. A doubt, a hunch, a gut feeling. He remembered the words of his mentor, who had taught him the principles of the ecosystem. "We built the system to rule out the possibility of false alarms," he had said. "But no system is perfect. There is always a margin of error, a chance of malfunction, a human factor. You have to use your judgment, your logic, your intuition. You have to be the final arbiter, the last line of defense." Petrov hesitated. He looked at the screen again. 5 missiles. That seemed too few for a full-scale attack. Why would the Americans risk a nuclear war with such a weak strike? And why now, when the tensions between the two superpowers were already high? It didn't make sense. It didn't add up. He put down the phone. He turned to his colleagues and said, "It's a false alarm. Don't launch anything. Stand down." They looked at him incredulously. They couldn't believe what they heard. They wanted to argue, to protest, to question. But they didn't. They respected him. They obeyed him. They followed his command. He breathed a sigh of relief. He hoped he was right. He prayed he was right. He was right. Later, he would learn that the ecosystem had been fooled by a rare atmospheric phenomenon, a reflection of sunlight on some clouds that had mimicked the signature of a missile launch. He would be hailed as a hero, a savior, a man who had averted a nuclear holocaust. He would be interviewed, honored, celebrated. He would be praised by his countrymen and admired by his enemies. But he would not enjoy it. He would not revel in it. He would not boast about it. He would shrug it off, dismiss it, downplay it. He would say, "Chush, nonsense. I was just doing my job." He would say that because he knew the truth. He knew how close he had come to making a different decision, a wrong decision, a fatal decision. He knew how thin the line was between war and peace, between life and death, between fate and chance. He knew how fragile the world was, how vulnerable it was, how easily it could be destroyed. He knew that he had been lucky, and he knew that luck could run out.